I'm Beth Mixon, and I'm the Development Director for Family Promise of Jacksonville.
And my name is Mark Lanchute. I'm the Executive Director of Family Promise of Jacksonville. So Family Promise of Jacksonville is 15 years old. We are an affiliate of Family Promise National, which has been around over 30 years now. So we started in Jacksonville in 2006. I'm the second executive director, and so we have expanded our services in our local community here since that time. And we provide a variety of services to homeless families that have children. So that's our demographic that we serve. So we serve homelessness, situational homelessness really. It could be grandparents with kids. The common denominator is you got to have children. So it could be a single dad with children, a single mother with children, our most common demographic of homelessness for us anyway. It could be grandparents with kids. And so that's our little niche, if you want to call it that. It's not just our history. Family Promise National, that's the model. They work with families that have children. So because we're an affiliate, that's the model we have to adopt. So I don't know really of any affiliates that work with single men or just single women. Most of them are going to be all working with families that have children. So that's the model that we adopted because we're an affiliate of Family Promise, of a national organization.
The reason Family Promise, not only locally but nationally, focus on children and families with children is that 35% of America's homeless were families with children even before COVID broke out. Mm-hmm. Here in Duval County, in the school year of 2019, 5,800 school children were classified as homeless. Couch surfing, living in cars, living in motels, but places that are not stable. Families with children are really the hidden homeless. Mm-hmm. You're not going to see them on the streets because they know the streets are not safe for their children. They're good parents, but they are having a hard time economically. Mm-hmm. So by focusing on families with children, we are helping children to have a stable childhood. Also, because of our model is a little unique, we can serve families in whatever form they come in, whether it's a single mother with children, single fathers with children, two parents, grandparents raising grandchildren, and also we can keep a family unit that is a little larger than just the nuclear family. Like if a grandparent is part of that family, like a single mom has her mother living with her, we'll keep them together. Mm-hmm. If a family has young adult children in their 20s, most shelters will put them on the single man, single women side. We keep that family together. And more importantly, it's because some shelters sheltered women and children dormitory style, so they would be moving a young man who is turning 12 or 13 to the single man side. All of this, the emphasis is on the family, keeping them together and building stability.
Yeah. And really, since COVID's happened, many of the extended stay hotels in Jacksonville are really full of families because they've lost apartment or housing, and so they're making it. We call it the hotel trap. They're one thing that Bernard works with at Rapid Rehousing, that particular model is working with all those families that are in hotels, trying to get them into housing, because they make enough money to stay in the hotel, and they probably make enough money to be able to afford an apartment, but they can't do the transition. They don't have enough money to switch from one place to the other. So that's something that was really pretty prevalent before COVID, but it's really, really prevalent now. So really we have three programs, if you want to call it that. So we have our emergency congregational rotation for families that are homeless. They're currently homeless. They have no place. They could be working or not working. It doesn't really matter. And we won't even get into the multiple definitions of homelessness that everybody has. So it's a family that we'll take families that are sleeping in their car, families that are at grandmother's and it's just not working out and they need some place. Maybe they're in a hotel. They could be on the street. We get those calls. So we have that congregational rotation. So in that situation, they come into that program, and then they have a complete gamut of case management involved in that. So they'll, do an assessment of, what kind of work situation you have, what is your medical needs for you and your children, what's going on with school, your educational needs for you and your children, employment needs for you and are you working or you're not working. It depends. We're about 50-50 over the course of the year. of people that are working or not working. But that's one thing we're going to help facilitate. Case management team is going to help facilitate them getting employment. Then they're going to work on housing. They're going to make sure the kids are in school. So those are all things that take place in that program. And so at that point, someone that eventually is going to be ready to move out of the program. They're going to be at a position where we'll provide some services and some resources for them to move into typically an income-based housing solution. They move out, and then they have the option of going to our next program, which is family support. Family support works with families that could come out of our shelter program or our emergency congregational program, or they could also be families that we're trying to prevent them from becoming. That's our prevention program. So Bree, who's the family support coordinator, she works with a lot of families that really never come into the rotation, but they have a variety of needs. It could be food, it could be hygiene items, it could be clothing, it could be, you name it. They need work clothes, it could be rent assistance, it could be utility assistance. We're trying to make an assessment with those families to make sure they don't come into the congregational rotation, because it's much easier to stop that slippery slope than for them to become homeless. Because if you become homeless, it's like pushing a reset button. You start all over again. You're going to lose the stuff typically you have in your apartment unless you can afford to keep it in storage. So we do whatever we can do to keep that from happening. We ask families, we tell them it's benefit to them to come into the to the family support program when they leave the program, just to kind of keep track of them, to have monthly case meetings with them, to kind of help so they don't fall through the cracks. Okay, why are you short on rent this month? Or why is there a utility? What's happened? Did the car break down? Just keeping track of them to help keep them stabilized. That's where financial counseling and other types of services can come in on board too. And then we have Rapid Rehousing, relatively new program for us, started last year. We work with Changing Homelessness. We have one Rapid Rehousing case manager right now. We're going to get ready to have another one here shortly. We're getting ready to hire another person. Right now, those rehabbing case managers are working with all those individuals that were put into hotels as isolation sites when the first round of COVID went through. So if you were in a shelter and you tested positively for COVID, they took you out of the shelter, or they put you in these different isolation hotels, and now, that's been a long time ago now they've been working with those individuals to take them from the hotel and to get them into apartments. So that's what they do. So in a lot of ways, it's three different demographics of families, even though there is some overlap between our congregational rotation and family support, because some of the people in family support can come from congregational rotation, but not all. So those really are our three programs. And all of them provide a gamut of services to the families that are in those programs.
In a year's time, we are typically serving in the temporary shelter program, which is the congregational program, about 20 to 22 families. With adding the family support program, historically we're seeing somewhere between 20 to 25 families. The Rapid Rehousing program is a little newer. Last year, in just the last quarter, we served 14 different households with that. I'm a cradle Presbyterian, and as a member of Riverside Presbyterian Church, have known about Presbyterian social ministries for years. When I started working at Family Promise, I realized there was an opportunity to reach out to Presbyterian social ministries and become a partner. So we have been working with Presbyterian Social Ministries for a number of years.
Yeah, and I worked with Dave for a long time before Dave retired, how we met. So people would give us clothes, and he'd come pick them up, or I'd take them to him. And so I worked with Dave for years before he retired.
Actually, our partnership from Family Promise standpoint started when Dave was still there.
Right.
Because Tiffany and I went over there and toured
saw
everything and talked about.
Which was pretty cool, how organized it was.
The big partnership has been bedding, pillows, mattress covers, blankets from Helix, and that is huge because sleep is such a basic human need, and to have clean, fresh bedding is such a gift. It's dignity and hospitality in action. We've also have partnered with the Giving Closet, which is one of the outreaches of Presbyterian Social Ministry, and it's through them that our children can get completely outfitted in clothing, but most importantly for uniforms for going back to school. which helps them to be ready to learn. But even the fun stuff, we've got a Halloween costumes. So what better way to celebrate childhood? And who doesn't want to be a baby dinosaur or a fairy princess? I'm Beth Mixon. I work for Family Promise of Jacksonville as the development director. Family Promise National started over 30 years ago in New York City when our founder encountered a mother and her teen sons living on the streets in January in New York. The reason was because any shelter they would have gone to would have separated the mother from her teen sons. So she set out to find a solution and found one with congregations, a place that have unused space during the week and a heart for mission. And since then, Family Promise has grown to 43 states and more than 240 affiliates. Here in Jacksonville, Florida, we opened our doors in 2006. So this year, we are celebrating our 15th anniversary. Our focus has always been on families with children. Families with children are the hidden homeless. Before COVID, more than 35% of America's homeless were families with children. Here in Duval County, before COVID, 5,800 students were classified as homeless, meaning they were couch surfing, living in motels, sleeping in cars, living in a shelter. That doesn't even include their parents or their siblings that are either too young for school or too old for school. By focusing on the families, we help create a stable childhood and help a family move on that journey to creating togetherness. Our model for the shelter program allows families to stay together in whatever form that they are in, whether it's single mothers, single fathers, two-parent families, grandparents raising grandchildren, or even if there is a young adult that is part of the family, or a grandparent that is part of a family, such as a single mother that has her mother living with her and her children. We keep them all together. And even more important for a single mother, some of the shelters shelter dormitory style, so at age 12 or 13, boys may need to move to the single men's side. Family Promise, whatever shape that family is, we can keep them together. At Family Promise, we're focused on individual case management. In that encompass affordable housing, gainful employment, financial awareness, medical needs, education, and all other social service needs. And we have several different ways that we reach out to families. What we're most widely known for is our temporary shelter program in partnership with congregations across Duval County and even going into Clay County and St. John County, where the churches provide the shelter and meals and we're providing the intensive case management. With that success, we developed a family support program because there are families that don't quite yet need the shelter system. And if we can prevent them from entering the shelter system, it's better for us as a community. It's better for the family and ultimately much, much better for the child. So they receive the same holistic case management, focusing on affordable housing, gainful employment, and those other components without having to enter a shelter. As a result of COVID, we added a housing stability program, which is a rapid rehousing that is a community response to homeless families and individuals that were moved into motels to protect them from COVID, with the goal of moving them from motels into stable housing. I'm a lifelong Presbyterian and go to Riverside Presbyterian Church, and Riverside Presbyterian has partnered with Presbyterian Social Ministries. In fact, even when Katrina impacted the South, I worked on a project as a volunteer with Presbyterian Social Ministries. When I came to Family Promise, I realized there might be some opportunity for us to partner together. And it worked out wonderfully, and we have been partners ever since then. One of the most significant ways Presbyterian Social Ministry helps our families is bedding. These wonderful, wonderful pillows from Helix, mattress covers, weighted blankets, all of that is such a basic human need. Having sleep that is on clean, comfortable bedding is so important. And it is nothing less than compassion and dignity and hospitality in action. And another way that Presbyterian Social Ministry has partnered with us is through their partnership with the Giving Closet. We've been partnering with the Giving Closet for a number of years, and for us, we can take a family with children to the Giving Closet, and they can get all the clothing their children needs, especially with school uniforms. And while going back to school is important and to be dressed like your peers so you can focus on learning, the Giving Closet looks at the whole child. For example, we've got in Halloween costumes. So what better way to celebrate childhood than Halloween? And who doesn't want to be a baby dinosaur or a fairy princess? Also, what was very important for us as COVID became prevalent, Presbyterian Social Ministries became a conduit for Mass, which was so important both for parents and children to keep them safe so we could continue serving them. As anyone who's ever moved knows, moving is costly. You're having to buy supplies, you may be having to change out bedding, you're buying cleaning supplies, you might be replacing kitchen items, particularly if something breaks in a move. When families are moving from being unstable to stability, they need so much. And having the resources through clothing and bedding allows them to focus their dollars on other things that they need. Whether it's gas for their car so they can go to work. For a parent, being able to get clothing from the Giving Closet, whether it's everyday clothing or uniforms going back to school, may free up the money to get that child's birth certificate. And birth certificates are critical because they need those not only for enrolling in school, but for medical care and very often for housing as well. So it impacts the entire family having that money to be able to focus on items that cannot be donated. Family Promise usually gets items from Presbyterian Social Ministry once a month or every other month. And while I haven't been good about tracking how many, I can tell you this, I have a minivan, and when I leave, it is completely full, the back, the middle seat, the front seat, and I have had to make sure that I have a little hole that I can see out of my rearview mirror. Well, we at Family Promise do not maintain a clothing closet, so it's very important for us to have community partners that give us access to clothing and to the bedding. For example, with Giving Closet for children, Desk is one for adults. And if Presbyterian Social Ministries vanished, the immediate answer might be, well, we would go back to Desk or Giving Closet. However, they're getting their clothing from Presbyterian Social Ministry. So truly, it's a ripple effect across the community. And it's one that if that gift disappeared, the negative ripple would be felt across the community. In the nonprofit sector, no one agency can address all of the facets of a problem. And if we operate in a silo, then community needs are going to go unmet. Here at Family Promise, we don't have the space or really the expertise to operate a clothing closet, but our friends at Presbyterian Social Ministry do. By working together, we can solve problems. And it has that same ripple effect of going out into the community. That investment into PSM will touch agencies that they may never hear about, and certainly people that they will never know about. Okay. At Family Promise, we would love to see Presbyterian ministries grow and expand, reach more people in the community. It has been a tremendous force in building partnerships with companies such as Helix and the uniform companies that donate to Presbyterian Social Ministries. I know you all need a warehouse. I hope that you can find a warehouse. I hope there is someone out there that will help pay for a warehouse, or even view a warehouse because the impact is immeasurable. Here at Family Promise, we have 3 family respite rooms. Each family has their own room. That means they can stay in that room together. If a toddler needs to take a nap, there's a bed for them. There's a storage space for them. And each room we've set up so families in different shapes and sizes can fit in. There's multiple beds. There's a bunk bed. That bedding was Helix bedding. The mattress covers, the pillows, that gift to the family came from Presbyterian Social Ministries and its partnerships with companies like Helix. One time our case manager was showing a mom who was thinking about entering our shelter program her room, and she asked, who else is going to be sharing this room with me? And when our case manager said, it's your room, you're not going to be sharing it with anybody else, the mom started to cry. One of the fun rituals of back to school is that back to school first day photo. And it's always such a joy to see those because those children, especially the uniforms, are coming from Presbyterian Social Ministry through our partnership with the Giving Closet.